Alright, the first thing we gotta do whenever we dump our tracks into our DAW is take a listen to everything completely. With no effects, no delays, no reverbs, no panning, no leveling, no nothing. Let's just listen to it the way it sounds. So this is what was given to us by the company that sold us the construction kit. Right off the bat, I'll tell you, the kick sounds dead. The bass is extremely muddy and could definitely use a lot of tweaking. Hi-hat sound okay. Tambourine sounds a little too powerful. Claps sound a little flat and dry. And we have 3 synth channels. One's a Rhodes, one's some kind of effect, and the next is a lead. And they're all fighting for the same frequencies. So we can tell that this company did not do any editing of these tracks. They just recorded the production and said, here you are, they're yours. So let's start off by looking at the kick. Okay, so we have a kick track here. And our kick track. Let's solo that. Dead. Okay, the first thing I did was I put a high pass filter to get rid of some of the mud. Now we have to decide right off the bat whether or not the bass is going to be the strongest part of the sub frequencies or the kick is. I've decided right now that it's going to be the bass, because after listening to the bass it sounds like a disaster and it'll be too hard to mask all that sub frequency it already has. So take off this EQ here and turn it on. There we go. Now, cleaned it up a little bit. Notice at about 220 Hertz and at about 590, I dipped a little there. That's just to get rid of some frequencies I didn't like and just a little bit of mud. So, let's leave this and we'll go straight to the claps. The claps, if you notice, I've dumped 457 Hertz off. And I rolled off just a little bit of 2K just because it was starting to hurt my ears a little bit. So this is with the EQ applied. Without. Excellent. Okay. Hi-hats. Turn those on. Now I've rolled off 1764 Hertz. For the high pass filter. Now, let's go here, turn this on. This is with the EQ off. Take a look at that. Okay, you see about 1200 kicks in there. Now we're going to turn this on. Now look at the difference, the yellow line. You see it starts to kick in about 1500 there, right? So we basically EQ'd it properly. Now let's go over to our tambourine track and turn it on. Excellent. Notice I rolled off about 1300 Hertz there, 1400 Hertz. Turn that EQ on. Excellent. Now, notice I dipped here around 10K. I did that on purpose because usually the hi-hats usually reside around 8 to 10K. So I basically sweep the band back and forth, trying to find where the hi-hats would peak out a little more, so they wouldn't interfere with the tambourines. Excellent. Now let's go to the bass. Notice I have one bass track here, and then I made a copy. The reason is this. Listen to this bass track. All sub frequencies. There's nothing in the high end. Look at this. Look at that. Look, you're lucky to get something over 1K half the time. Okay. This. So, what I've done is I've applied a high pass filter to get rid of some of the sub frequencies here. And then I dipped around 153 and 464 to get rid of some mud. Now you can hear the difference on, off, and on. Sounds a little bit cleaner. Okay. We go to the next track. I made a copy of this bass track. Now, take a look at this. I rolled off 434 hertz with a high pass filter here. You're asking why I did this. It's because this is a little trick a lot of people do. If you got a lot of mud in your mix and you can't get rid of bass, copy the track, roll off a good chunk of the bass with a high pass filter, and boost the bass signals later on when you're applying your additive EQ. At that point, you get a nice crisper sound, more high end. Now this is even without even adding any EQ to it. All I've done is removed some frequencies. Great. Now let's go to our effects channel. Lower this bass a little bit. A little better. Our effects track. Okay. I rolled off 242 hertz with a high pass filter, and then I dipped 1170 and 365 hertz. Those were the frequencies I found to be the most offending. Cleans up the track nicely. There we are. Sounds a little brighter now, without even adding any EQ yet. Now, go to the sine wave. This is actually a Rhodes VST, and we rolled off 124 hertz with a high pass filter, dipped 378 and 290, and then I applied a low pass filter up around close to 7K here. Reason being is whoever recorded this VST decided that when they recorded it, they didn't realize that there was this high whistling sound kicking in when you turn the volume really loud. And when you're going to compress that later on, it's going to make a big problem. So what I've done is I rolled it off, and this is our signal right here. No DQ. With it. A little brighter now. Even though we rolled off from 7K, it's still brighter. Beautiful. Roll that back down. And then our synth lead. Decided I was going to roll off about 200 hertz right here, and then I dipped 372 and 632 with EQ. Ah, nice, a little brighter, beautiful. So, take a look at all of our tracks here. Everything's centered. Now that we got everything cleaned up, we can do a little bit of a rough volume mix. I like to keep the kick roughly at about minus 6 dB. Close enough, 6.7 there. Claps. Claps sound good, not too loud. This is an R&B track, doesn't have to be killer. Yeah, hi-hats are decent, not too powerful. Good. Tambourines, generally I prefer to make them slightly a little louder than the hi-hats. There we go. I'm going to pan those later on. Sub bass. Okay, higher frequency bass. Notice I don't have to keep them both too loud because I have two of them kicking in all the bass frequencies. Good. I'm going to start out here with the Rhodes. Good, and the lead. Nice. Much better. Okay, good. That's pretty good for a rough level mix. Great. Alright, in part 2, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about using tonal EQ and compression, and then some additive EQ. I'm Rico, and I'll see you in the next session.